I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman, Chairman of the Greensboro Fire Department History Book Committee. The American Fire Service is rich in tradition and culture. A firefighter's life is filled with many emotional highs and lows. Stories of major fires, national disasters, medical calls, firehouse living, and family life are often verbally shared from one generation to another. Many times, these stories are lost forever when a firefighter passes away. In an effort to preserve these stories, in 2019, the Greensboro Fire Department History Book Committee launched a new program of recording audio-video of our retirees' lives. These stories will be shared on our website, gfhbc.org. In 2020, we did not record because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Please listen as these firefighters share their life experiences with all of us.
My full name is James Sharpe Wrenn, Jr. Date of birth is 4/23/50. I was on the fire department for 31 years and 3 months, and I was a captain when I retired. I grew up around the Rankin area, down on Overland Drive, right down behind Rankin School. And we lived there until about 67 when we moved out on Lee's Chapel Road. And I was about 16 years old then. But I've always been in the Greensboro area. No, I think there was another Wrenn on the fire department at one time.
Red.
But yeah, Red Wrenn, but nobody in my family that I know of was ever employed with Greensboro Fire Department. Before joining the fire department, I was employed at Cone Mills Print Works in the office. I handled return goods from a lot of different companies: Macy's, West Point Pepperell, Sears, Belks. Print Works would get the cloth and print it up for those companies, and if there was defects, they would contact me. I'd get it brought back in, and Printworks would redo it again and ship it back to them. Because I really didn't want to be a fireman. I knew quite a few guys on the fire department at 16th Street Baptist Church, and never really had an inkling to be a fireman. But when I was at Printworks every day, I'd go with a friend of mine up to Fairview Recreation Center and play basketball. And was a captain on the fire department, Paul Brown, that would be up there every day and played with us. And one day he said, "Sharpe," he said, "you're pretty active playing ball here. You ever thought about coming on the fire department?" And I told Paul, I said, "No." Paul always had, there's a long list, and it's hard to get on there. And Paul said, "You come up to the station tomorrow, I'll be there, and I'll take you in to see the chief, get you a job." I said, "Well, okay." And I did go up there the next day. I went in, and Paul was on a fire call. And Jay Lewis, that went to the church, he was there, and he said, "Sharpe, what you doing up here?" I said, "Well, talked to Paul. He talked to me yesterday about maybe getting a job on the fire department, and he told me to come up here, but he's not here." And Jay said, "Come on, Sharpe, I'll take you in there." And it was on from there. I think it was 16 or 17. One left while we were in training. I'm not going to mention his name, but another firefighter, Vernon Smith, was Pomperian, and he was up almost to the top, and his foot slipped off the rung, and one of his hands slipped off the rung, and he was dangling around, and this young man was in the window, seen him, and he walked straight down the stairs and went out to the chief and said, "I quit." And it was just something. I guess it's good that the man learned at that time that he's afraid of heights.
Right.
Well, the only thing, a lot of guys in my class, some of them was already assigned to fire stations and were working. And I went in on August 30th. Me and two more, I don't exactly remember who it was. And we were there at the training center for a week or 2 weeks, cleaning up, mowing, putting oil on the back fence to kill the weeds. I know it's not allowed now. That's what we did, and it was two hard weeks. So when training got here, we thought, oh, we got it made now. We learned a little more than what we thought. The guys in my training class were Pete Carworth, Bill Smith, Vernon Smith, Phil May, Lord, I'm going to miss some of these names. Harold Robbins. Let me get my list here. Bill Whitty, Brooks Langley, Steve McPherson, Bill Nelson, Neil Nelson, Raymond Holloman, Johnny Jones. Doing training, it wasn't something that you had to do. It had to be something that you wanted to do to be successful at it. And as it went on, it got tougher, such as palm pier ladder. It's the first time we'd ever seen a palm pier ladder. Didn't really know what it was, and then to go up it and sit in the window and go up it again, you had to build some faith in the ladder and the department, the people that was there, that nothing was going to happen. And with all the guys that was in my training class, we kind of became a family working together with each other as we went, such as in palm piering. Guys kind of got together. There was only 2 chiefs at that time, and the 2 chiefs couldn't be on every floor watching what you was doing. So sometimes when you put the palm pier ladder in the window, one guy would be down there and grab the hook to kind of secure it a little bit better. And so, you had faith that guy was there, even though this was a learning process. And like it said, the palm pier ladder was there to build confidence in the guys. That's another funny question. My first station, first assignment, first captain, I went out of training to Station 7. And my captain was Paul Wrenn, the one that taught me into getting on the fire department. And I was on Engine 7. And the driver on there was Ray Flowers, who went on to make chief. And the second guy on there was Big John Michaels, who was, at the time, I thought he was old then. And John he was a legend in what he did. He was a cook. I mean, he cooked every meal until some of the guys came over, the truck company came over to 7, and they just messed our situation up, because then we had to start cooking. My first captain, Paul Brown, he was, everybody got along with him. And he always took care of you. He always talked to you about things you might have done wrong, how to improve the situation. And he always wanted to, after the day when we could go out and play basketball, he wanted to go out and play basketball. And we were out one day playing basketball. Somebody was off, so I think Ray was off, and Big John was there, and Big John, so Paul said, well, let's play. So Paul was my senior, so I kind of stood back and let him do this, and Paul looked at me and he said, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean, sir? He said, you're not being on me. I said, well, he said, get on me. Let's play. This is a game. You got to win. So, Paul didn't want the easy way to do things. He wanted to get it done and done right. He wanted the challenge, and I think that's what he tried to inspire to the rest of us on the company. Nicknames in the fire department. I didn't really have a nickname. For a long time, my helmet's on the back of it said Shark. But nobody ever gave me a nickname. Scarborough, when I went to Station 10 as a captain for a while, I always had my hand was shaking. He called me Captain Shaky for a while, only him. But I'm sure there was some other names that was given to me by some of the people on the companies at times. There's a lot of funny things that go on at stations, dropping of the benches, the telling the rookie to light light the fire in the oven. And when he bent down, you dropped that bench, and his head looked like a basketball bouncing in between the oven right there. But so many things. And Guy Patterson, he was fixing pintos in a pressure cooker one day, and he didn't watch it. And all of a sudden, the lid of the pressure cooker went up and hit the bean, put a dent in the bean. Bean sprayed all over the station in the kitchen, and it was a mess. And the kitchen another time, we were going fishing. We were getting to go, me and Jimmy Williams were getting to go to Hatteras to fish with the Chiefs and Woody Parrish. And we were making lead weights in the kitchen. We had Chief Price's little furnace, and we had some molds. And we were putting lead in there, and Chief Price, he come walking in, and just as Jimmy Williams was about to drop some lead into the pot, because it was already some melted lead in there. And Jimmy started dropping, and Chief Price said, "Don't drop, it's wet." And it hit, and it was kind of like a steam explosion, and little pieces of lead went all over the kitchen. So that's a lot of different things that happened. And then one more, Chris Hare. Everybody knows Chris Hare. Pan the Socks boy. He always went to bed before everybody else. And he would go, he would look out the window, and he would check the door to make it was locked. So we would put a mannequin head outside the window. He would jump up and holler, and then he would grab that doorknob, and he'd say, "You put jism on the door." And always getting him. And then he went to bed one night, he was sick, and he said, "I'm cold." So he went to bed before everybody else. And we piled about 20 of those wool blankets on top of him. And he woke up hollering, I'm paralyzed. Because he couldn't move from all the weight of all those blankets. But we had a good time at the fire stations.
Most definitely.
At all the stations, the first station, the Big John, he always cooked. And we all ate at the table. And then some guys come, they didn't like what John cooked, so they said they wanted to cook here and there. But at every station I ever went to, we cook together, we eat together. There's some cooks better than other cooks, and it's a process that you got to learn when you first come on the fire department. And I got in trouble at 7. I was rookie, I hadn't been on long. I was working on C shift. And they told me to go to the store and get the stuff. I said, okay. So I went to the store. And I came back. Instead of hot dog buns, I had hamburger buns. And they jumped all over me. I said, I didn't get no hamburger buns. I got hot dog buns. I said, yeah, you did. Danny Nelson, I seen him a couple days ago, a week ago. He reminded me of that. And since that time, I've come to find out there was another fireman. I can't remember his name right now. He was in the store that day. It was Saturday. He knew what I was doing. He took my hot dog buns out and put hamburger buns in. So, check one off for another fireman. Companies eating together, it's a family thing where each one may cook this or cook that, and each of us learns. You may never have eaten chitlins before. And when I was in training, they cooked chitlins out there at the training center one day. And I realized at that time from the smell, I didn't want to eat them. I sure didn't want to put them in my mouth. But, at Station 14, Jack Rumley cooked one day, me and Johnny Cole and Bill Brown. And he fixed tuna casserole. And in that casserole was tuna, green peas, I think it was cauliflower with potato chips sprinkled on the top. And he sitting on the table, he was proud of that meal. He said, you boys dive into this stuff. So me and Johnny Cole, we got some. And after the first taste, I was done. Johnny, he got one taste and he was done. But Bill Brown, he was there, and Bill just kept on eating. He emptied his plate. So later on, we asked Bill, Captain Rumley, he said, "Didn't you guys like that?" Me and Johnny told him, "No, Captain." I said, "That didn't taste too good, but thank you." And later on, Bill, he was back in the bedroom. Johnny looked at him and said, "Bill, this meal the Captain fixed today." He said, "Yeah." We said, "Why didn't you say something like me and Sharpe?" "Well, I'm a rookie over here, and I was kind of afraid to say something." He said, "That stuff was kind of bad." we tried to get him to say something. He never would say nothing. That was just Bill, always cool and calm. When we were at the station for meals, my favorite dish a lot of times chicken pot pie with vegetables. I'd cook that quite often. And if not, I would cook one of J.W. Wolf's meals of chicken with Pepperidge Farm dressing, cream of mushroom soup, and cream of chicken soup. And you put that in the oven and cook that. I cooked that quite a bit. And hot dogs. Everybody did hot dogs. And, those were my main two meals that I would cook. But, it was a thing where we all cooked, each one or maybe two guys cooked together. And then at the end, the other guys, they would wash the dishes and everything after the meal. We'd always play the spin the wheel game to see who did wash the dishes.
You remember?
When I was at the station, when it first started off, it cost $3 a day to eat. $3 for both meals. And it was a good deal. But there, right before I retired, I think it was up to maybe $8 or $10 a person. And usually whatever money was left, we may put it in the kitty to have it over next time, so if somebody goes over, we'd have a little extra money. The bedrooms at the fire stations used to be one big dormitory, and all the guys was in there, and we'd pull pranks on each other in the bedroom, short sheeting, making noises. The old beds in the fire stations had springs, and we just happened to have a pool table at 7. And they'd take the pool balls and put them in the springs. Then when the rookie'd come to bed and lay down, all them pool balls would start dropping out one by one. Clank, clank, everybody started hollering at him, "Quit making that noise, what is wrong with you?" But, it was a family thing until it come to where you had a firefighter that could snore. Oh, and we had some snorers on the fire department. Snorers, Big John, he could snore pretty good on my shift. And then on the other shift, Leo Cardwell. Leo, he was a big snorer. I remember Junior Allen, when he was a driver, he would pull his bed out on the truck floor and sleep out on the truck floor so he could get away from all that noise. But then it got on the cubicles now. When I was over at station 17, I think it may be on Lake Brant Road. I don't know what it is, 43, 46 or something.
Something like that.
But anyway, it wasn't really cubicles over there. There was a wall dividing maybe two beds. But you still had the dormitory type situation, because in there was Butch, and I was on this side, and Mitzi was on that side. Butch snored pretty good. And but I found a remedy to that, because as it got cold in the bedroom, Butch would quit snoring. So every night we went to bed, I'd crank it down to like 68, 65, and Butch would quit snoring. But then I had to hear his lip service every morning. "Sharpe Wrenn, you turn that thing down again. You got to quit doing that." And Mitzi, she was fine with it. But, it's part of fire station life. But now they got the cubicles, and I guess that's good if you want to have a place where you can study and do stuff like that. And when you call home or whatever, or if somebody snores bad, I guess it'll kind of be huddled up in that one little cubicle by themselves. But I think you probably miss a lot of the camaraderie of being a group, a big family. you could probably make a movie in the firehouse, kind of like the Waltons, where a lot of times at night in there, everybody would tell each other, good night, have a good night, or whatever, but then sometimes it wouldn't be good night, it would be something else. But anyway, that's the firehouse. When it comes to women firefighters in the fire service, everybody needs to have an opportunity to do what they want to do. So in Greensboro, I never really worked with a firefighter at first. Edie and Debbie Butler out at 14 was on the other shifts, but I don't ever remember working with them or them working on my shift. So, it was good then, but then after I was over 17 on Lake Brant Road for a while, Bill Long was there, Butch Cummings, me, I was a driver, and Mitzi. And she had her little room down there and her own little bathroom and dressing room. And we had a good time out there cooking together with Bill Long. And one day we had a call. We all got on the truck. And Bill was on the truck. Butch was on there. Butch was behind Bill. Mitzi usually was behind me. And Bill said, "Where's Mitzi? Where's Mitzi? Where's Mitzi?" I said, "I don't know, Captain." He said, "Go get her, Sharpe." So here I go running in the door. I run into the dormitory, not thinking. I'm saying, Mitzi, come on. I run over there to hers and I look. And she's standing in there with a bare minimum on. And, that's the first time I ever worked with a woman. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, there's something different here. And I said, "Mitzi, come on, we got a call." And ran on back out. It was one of them aha moments, and it's kind of a shock in a sense. Firefighters, we're a big family, and at the different stations I was at during my career, Thanksgiving or Christmas or different holidays, a lot of times we would have families over to have a cookout, a meal in the kitchen. We had the big tables, and it was a perfect situation. There was a lot of room, and it was a time of joy. And some of the pictures I brought was from my family was at the fire station, and other families. There's some pictures I brought over at Station 7. Whole company with all of their families there. It was a big crowd, and we're all one big happy family. And still, when I see those guys, if I don't see them, they'll come up to me and talk to me, and I'll talk to them and ask them how my son is, or their sons, or their daughters, or their wives. I think it's just part of being at the fire station, knowing you had a family at home, plus you had a family there. I think it was good. Today's time, I don't know what they're doing. I hope they're still doing that same thing, but I know there's a lot of single people on the fire department. There's nothing wrong with bringing your boyfriends or girlfriends, I guess, to the fire station to let them see what firefighters eat and what firefighters do. When I go around to the fire stations now, you're kind of hesitant because you may go in a fire station and you don't know a single person in there. And you may introduce yourself, and they'll welcome you in. They'll be cordial, but still they're a little hesitant. And I have gone to some fire stations where there's still guys that I know that were on when I was working, and they'll say, "Come on in here." And one of them will say, "Hey, rookie, fix the coffee. Got Wrenn's here. We're going to talk." And that's good. Everybody needs to be recognized for what they did, no matter what position or what they did on the fire department, from a firefighter to the chief of the department. We're all one family. I know the chief gives us direction, but the chief, he wouldn't be nothing if he didn't have Indians going around fighting the fires and doing the wars. Medical calls in the fire department. And I've got one that still bothers me to this day. over Station 17, the next road down. I can't think of the name of it right now. But we went over there to Captain Allen, and I don't remember who the firefighters were, but they had a pool in the backyard. And two little boys was out there swimming, and they come running back in the house wet, came through the storm door, running in the back, and then they come running out. When they did, the floor was wet, and one little boy slid on the water, and his arm went through the plate glass on the storm door, and a shard of glass went up under his shoulder. And we got there with blood everywhere, and we tried to put something on it. We even tried to go up there and maybe shut off that vein or artery, but it was just too late. And you've seen and you know that you felt like you failed, but you got there and you did what you could do. And EMS got there. We put the mask trousers on his lower extremities, trying to do it, but still it was just too long for proper medical care could be there to help him out. And you don't forget those things. They come back to you later on. And those other calls where people have been shot, where one gentleman we went on, me and Steve Fowler, this guy, he was deceased, but we was in a crowd of people. They were hollering and chanting, "Help him, help him, help him, help him." And it was kind of getting rowdy. PD was there, we were there, and I think we did CPR on this guy for probably 20, 25 minutes till we could get him on a stretcher and get him out of there. We knew that there wasn't a chance, but due to the surroundings and the situation, we had to do what we could and get him out of there to be able to deal with the crowds, to get him out and us out and everybody else, to resolve a peaceful situation there from what had gone on. All those, as we talk about all these medical calls and tragedies, you think about, you start focusing on that, and you see many more. And there's some things you could do that would help, and there's some that couldn't. I mean, you were already doomed to fail, but you still went about your job. And I'm thinking about the plane crash on Calm Boulevard. When the plane crashed, I was at Station 1 then, and we went over there. The plane, it didn't crash. They landed on Calm Boulevard, and they were good till they went up the hill. And the bridge and the sign, and the wing hit the sign, and fuel started leaking. It caught on fire, and I think 2 or 3 guys got out. But the guy in the back there, may have been the pilot, didn't get out. Some other guys was back to the window, finally pulled him through the window, but it was a fatality. But still, we tried to do what we could. And, they landed, they were safe going up the hill. But if they'd have been able to stop, it'd have been fine. But it wasn't. And we see all these different situations where maybe a few more minutes would have made a big difference in the outcome here. But as you see these things, you kind of become educated in what to do. Sometimes you need to be quick. Sometimes you need to be slow to do the right thing. That can make a difference in a person's life. Sure, we want to get the situation taken care of as fast as we can, but we need to do it the safe way. And it takes experience of you going on these calls. Are you seeing what other guys do? Some of the senior firefighters, the situations they face. And then go back to the station where we would critique these things. And we learn something from the fire call, but we sometimes learn more from the critique after the fire call. And it was always a learning experience of what we did and what we saw. And did we always have the right answers to everything? No. But sometimes we made a difference and we didn't really realize it, that somebody else brought it up of what you did. And situations we've seen on fire calls at times, sometimes you may look and say, you don't know what that person was thinking or what that person was doing. You don't know what that person had gone through prior to this incident or situation. So, a lot of times you have empathy for people of what has happened to them, what's been done to them. Then sometimes when you look back and you see what happened up to this, you don't have empathy. You thought, this happened because they didn't make the right decision. They wasn't smart. They were trying to get by with this or that. But we all have got to learn from the chief down, and then from the firefighter or rookie up. There's something each one of us God has allowed us to do. And, the fire service, it's a job, it's a profession, it's a want. You've got to want to do that, to do it on a day-to-day basis, because it's not like a regular job at a manufacturing plant where day after day you do the same thing. Where you go on a fire call today, you may do one thing one way, then the next day you come in and you have the same situation, but you realize that there's another way to do it. One of the big fires that I was on, a lot of people were on, was the Davie Street fire downtown. And I was on a vacation that day. And I got back from the beach maybe 6 o'clock that night. And about 9 o'clock, I'd say, I got a call from Mr. Wolf. He told me Captain Corwith had called and said we had to go downtown to the big fire. I said, well, I was on vacation. They said, it don't matter, you need to come. So here we went down to Davie Street. We went by the stations, got our gear. Pete and Mr. Wolf, they were already down there, and I drove down there. I got my gear and drove down there. And I forget where we met up at. Pete gave us a location to meet up at, and we went down there. And Mr. Wolf went and helped somebody do something, and me and Pete went down the street on a hand line, on a 2-inch line was down there standing a wall behind us, and the fire had already crossed over, and we were there for a pretty good while. And then, I don't know, me or Pete one got to looking, so we decided to move on up the street a little bit, and we hadn't been gone 20, 25 seconds till the wall come down right there where we were standing. And there was a lot of things that happened that night. And Greensboro was very lucky in that situation. But a lot of times, training takes care of all that luck and gets us through these situations. But I kind of believe God in a lot of these situations got us through, watching over us and protecting us. 9/11, as a firefighter, as we all watched the guys go in, that was our job. That's what we did. That's what we do today. And as we watched that, it was hard sitting on that chair or standing behind that chair where we was at, watching those guys go in. You wanted to be there to help. And to see the tragedies that followed after that, I can just imagine the walls at the top are coming down, but probably just below that, there's guys still trying to go up to do what they can to save these people's lives. And it was a terrible situation. That's, God lets these happen sometimes to help us to grow, to show us we need to improve in the things we do. And I think a lot of good things come from bad situations like that. Mentors in the fire service are, there's a lot of them. A lot of captains, a lot of chiefs, a lot of firefighters as they try to teach you to get better. I guess my first was Paul Brown, as he's the one that got me to come on the fire department. Many different captains. Paul Brown, Captain Church, Boat Bill. I was at 7 as a rookie, and finally got a chance to drive, and we got a call, and Paul told me, go ahead. I think Ray was off, and call come in. They hit the buttons. I went out the door, and as soon as we got out the door, they canceled us. So I was sitting there. Paul said, well, go ahead and back up, Sharpe. I said, well, I got to wait for the door, Captain. He said, okay. And Boat Bill come on and said, back on up. It ain't coming down. Back on up, Sharpe. Back on back. So I backed up, and the door come down and hit that red globe, and it went everywhere. And I was worried to death. I was shaking. And Boat Bill, he come back there. He opened the door. I tried to stop. I got out. He put his arm around me. He said, the big boy got this. And I never heard a thing about it. That's guys, firefighters got you back. I think we all face, there's a lot of challenges we face in the fire department. And whether it be sickness, whether it be your sickness or parents. My dad, while I was on the fire department, he had 3 open heart surgeries. And I tried to be there every time when he had them. And it cost me quite a few sick days. And there at the last, I should have probably had more sick days than I had, but I had to be there with my dad. He was first. And other than that, you know, you face challenges at some stations. You don't get along with some person, or some person don't get along with you, and you just have to work through it. Sometimes you just got to look the other way. But it all works out good. And, you know, when we face these challenges, I always found out if I just kind of go off and kind of say a little prayer, it'd work itself out. Heartbreaking moment, probably the worst, was that young man that we couldn't save when he crashed through that storm door. And the shard of glass went up under his shoulder. We couldn't save him. It just took too long. But that and the death of a firefighter. I know I'm looking at Chief Cockman now and his brother. When Raymond passed away at the fire station, that was a big thing for all of us. But he passed away, but he passed away doing something he liked to do, playing ball. And, you know, all these things affects you. Jackie Beard, when we lost Jackie Beard, he was a friend to everybody. And many deaths, where it was a firefighter or their wives or their family members, you kind of took it hard. And it's because it's a family. It's part of your family. It's not a blood family, but it's a family that a lot of people don't understand. It's not like other companies where you got employees, but you got a family that works together to do a job to take care of a bad situation most of the time.
What was some of your proudest moments?
Well, some of the proudest moments on the fire department, I went on in 73. In 78, my son came. He was premature, weighed 2 pounds, 7.5 ounces, but he was 14 3/4 inches long. And when the nurse come out and told me that, I said, he's a keeper. He's a keeper. He's over 14 inches. That's what a fish was, to keep it. So I said, he's a keeper, and you can see him now. But that was a proud moment. When me and Gil got married, that was a proud moment. I think every time when you take a step up, firefighter 1, firefighter 2, driver, squadman, then FEO certifications, the classes we all took, and I know we've all taken a bunch of classes. You get that when you make captain, when you make battalion chief, or whatever. It's a proud moment to the individual. I was a captain, but got a lot of friends that made battalion chief, and you feel just as good for them making chief as you do yourself making captain or something. Anytime somebody that I'm going to say love in a sense, accomplishes something, it makes you feel good too.
Would you do it all over again?
Would I do it all over again? I think everybody knows, has probably been in here and said yes, do it all over again. But if I did, I'd take some different avenues of trying to go in different directions in the fire department. I was always in suppression. Always tried to be at Fire Station 7. I was a rookie at Station 7. I was a firefighter 1 at Station 7, a firefighter 2 at Station 7. Then I made driver and went to Station 14. I was over there a few years. Then I went back to 7 as a squadman. I rode the squad action there. Then I was there a few years, and then they sent me back to 14. I wasn't a driver then. I was kind of on the back of the engine for a while with Captain Church, Bobby Strong, Bob Ivy. That was a crew there. But then going to Station 1 again, then 17, and then FEO there, driving there, then went back to Station 7 as driver on Truck 7 till I made captain in 92, and left there and went to 15 for a year. Went to Station 10 from a year from there, and went right back to 7 as captain on Engine 7. That was home. That was where the action was. That's where I felt the best at Station 7 until one night. It was a rough night, and it just seemed like it kept getting worse. I couldn't do it as good as I wanted to. And then I realized I need to go somewhere else for a while, get somebody else a chance. All that action. And I went to 12 for a while, then Station 3 in the Station 17 for a while in the house. Then was in a trailer at Station 3 for a while. And then they built the station, and that's when I had to have shoulder surgery. And I never went to that station again. I went to light duty for almost a year till I had to have surgery again, and the doctor said, "You can't do this no more." And it's like chopping a finger off or something. You say, I said, no, I got to have this fixed, but I'm too young to do this. And you kind of get something put on you don't want. But I come to find out that was a blessing. I went out on disability, but my mom and dad were at home. They were getting older. Dad was having problems with his heart. Both of them had cancer. So by me having to go out on light duty, I was there all the time. They just lived right below me to be there to help them. I wasn't riding fire trucks to help other people, but was helping family at that time. And I think through my career, God gave me direction from Paul Brown all the way to retirement, and what He allowed me to do and what He allowed me to see, and helped me to grow as a person. A successful firefighter is a happy firefighter. Whether he's on the back of the truck, whether he's a fire equipment operator, a captain, a chief, assistant chief, the chief, of an inspector, as long as you're happy in the job you're doing, you're successful. And that success is going to take you many different places. Even when you retire, people's going to see that success in you. They're going to see you, and they're going to see value in you. And that value is going to pay off. You may not know how, but it's going to pay off. You can see many guys now that are out of the fire service doing many other things that they're successful at. Family and faith. Family, that's the core to everything, whether it's your family at home or your family at the fire station. And it has to grow. There's going to be bumps in the road, but I think those bumps is where faith comes in. And somebody can be successful, but to really be successful, they need to know Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior as far as I'm concerned. He gave me the direction. He got me through a lot of rough situations when I didn't think I could do it. Captain position. I took the test many times, passed it every time, got on the list, but never than the last time I went, I prayed about it. I said, Lord, I'm giving this to you this time. I said, I've tried on my own, but I can't do it. I've never made it. I said, but I'm handing it to you this time. You give me guidance and direction. So when I put my letters in to take the test and this and that, went through, I studied, passed the test, then you do your resume. And before, I went to Rockingham Community College and taken a lot of classes, and I never listed them on my resume. So I did this time, and it went in, it was good. I studied everything, and you go and they say, okay, you passed, we'll go from there. And we went, and all the guys that was on the list, we met in a room. And Chief Hensley was in there, and a few others. And they started asking us as a group questions. And every time Chief Hensley asked a question, I knew it. I raised my hand. And I talked. I ain't never talked a lot in my career. But every time he asked something, I knew it. It was there. Like it was a different situation that happened. And we went through that. And then it was over. And then we went through a chief's review. And a bunch of chiefs from over the state asked us questions. And every time they asked a question, I had an answer. And I made captain that time. And Chief Hensley, he come up to me after that and he said, Sharpe, he said, I've never heard you talk as much in your life as you did this time. So what's the difference? I told him, that was the difference.
That's good.
What would I like the fire department to remember about Sharpe Wrenn? Maybe just my name. I was just part of a group that was assembled together to do a job. And I think my place did what I was supposed to do. And, I'm nothing special. I was just trained to do a job, trained to work with others to do a job, to be efficient at what I did. And I hope I was. I know there was things I could change to make it better. But, the fire service, I had a good time. It was a great time of my life and my career. Very enjoyable. Being with all the firefighters, seeing the things, going not just to the fire station. When we went out together, families, couples, to go do this and that. It was truly a family that people don't see. And these younger firefighters today, it's different. It's more training. I hope they get to have fun sometimes.
Like we did.
Like we did all those times, but you still got a job to do. You still got your training to learn. And you're going to get an attaboy here and there, and you're going to fail here and there. But as long as you work together have a goal of what you're trying to do, it's going to work out good for you. It's going to work out good for the others. Like I said, we're a family. What do I want my family to remember about Sharpe Wrenn? That when he had to be there, he was there. Everywhere I go, I always try to be there early. I think at the fire station, I usually got to the fire station probably maybe 20 minutes before 7 every day to be able to get in, and if a guy needed to go, he could go. But to sit at the coffee table and talk with the different shifts, what went on? What'd you see? What'd you do? That I was part of the team, so to speak, and that when I left the fire station, I came home, and probably that was one of my biggest downfalls. Sometimes I brought what happened at the fire station home with me, and I should have left more of it at the fire station. But it affects your life. It affects your family's life. You know, to be successful, you got to study. You got to study hard. But in my book, to be successful, the main thing is to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I think He's what got me through them almost 32 years of fire service. Things happened that was beyond our control, but I always got safe. I mean, was safe from the situations. Me and Steve, we had an electrical line fall on a hose one time. We felt it, but it wasn't bad. And I had a little lady about 4'6" that weighed about 200 and some pounds. She thought her son was still in the house when we come out of it. And she hit me like a linebacker. I thought my life was out, but I was okay. Well, I got some pictures over there of families, my family at the fire station. There's one firefighter that's on the squad over there. There's pictures over there. It's Paul Greer, the squadman. He got me into trouble. I don't know how many times, the things he did, and had to be reprimanded and this and that. But over at Station 7, I taught a Sunday school class for a while. And Paul, he came in there, he listened. And then he left there, he went to 5, and they were teaching Sunday school over there. And he listened. He got saved. And he was a good squadman because he had studied. His dad was a mortician here in Greensboro, and he'd studied to do that. And, man, he could tell you every part in the body. You went on a medical call, and he'd give me reports, and I'd call it in and say what they did. They said, "Man, Sharpe, where'd you get that?" And it was Paul. But then he left the fire department, and he got saved, and went to school to be a preacher, and he went into the Navy as a chaplain. And you know, he was a squadman. Rode the back of the truck company when he wasn't riding the squad. But he sent me an email. It's over there. One time he was over in Kuwait, and it said, "Captain Wrenn, thank you for what you taught me and what you shared with me as far as the gospel." He said, "It's gone a long way." And I didn't think that much about it until I talked with him later. He said, "You know, what you taught me in that kitchen has gone to Afghanistan, it's gone on the high seas, it's gone everywhere. And, you know, try to do your best as your career goes on, because you don't know how many people it may touch."
In closing, the Greensboro Firefighters History Book Committee hopes you have gained a greater insight into the dangers, the challenges, and emotional events that have influenced and shaped the American firefighter.